What's going on, everyone? It's Justin here, and today it's time to tell you what my experience has been like with the iPhone 17 Pro Max after using it for an entire month. This is like the time of year where we switch over all of our devices to the iPhones, take it for a spin, take some photos, use it on an everyday basis, and really try to measure the experience, both as someone in the tech industry, but also from the consumer perspective as well, and whether for the general user or someone who is willing to spend on a premium phone, if this is the right one for you, or more importantly, for a lot of loyal iPhone users, whether this is the year to upgrade. I'll start out by saying this. One way I kind of measure interest in the general field of an iPhone release is just how many friends send me a text asking what I think about the new iPhone, whether the changes are big enough, and whether this is the year that they should go ahead and upgrade. And I would say that this year's iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max is probably the most questions that I have received in quite a few years. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the design, the display, the camera, the battery, and generally what my experience has been like with Apple's latest flagship. If you guys want to see a review of the iPhone 17 Air as well, make sure you go ahead and let me know. It has just been a really busy month of releases, so I haven't been able to get to everything, but we're working through it slowly. So first off, the elephant in the room is the design. The phone itself is actually a little bit thicker this year, and I think that's the first thing that I noticed when I took it out of the box. It features a unibody aluminum design, which is a departure after a few years of a titanium design, which we thought was the material of the future. But when it comes to the thermal standpoint, it has been proven that aluminum is actually a bit better in conjunction with the vapor chamber that Apple has added, thanks to the thicker design of the phone as well. And I think by launching a slim model, following some slim options from other brands such as Samsung and other Chinese manufacturers, it has kind of taken off the pressure of making your flagship the thinnest phone out there. And I actually really like that. I think this iPhone feels the best in the hand in many years. It is the perfect amount of balance. It has a nice rounded edge. The unibody design feels great, and I personally really like every element of how the camera platform is embossed, and I think the phone looks very sleek. It's just one that you feel like you go ahead and use. It looks good, but it doesn't feel fragile. And it isn't a fingerprint magnet at the same time, and I think all of those things are really just the perfect balance. And in my honest opinion, between the orange and the blue and the silver is the best looking one by far. It is definitely heavier in the hand, but I haven't really found it to be an issue, and whenever you have better performance, better battery life, and better thermals, that trade-off is worth it. I also find that through the unibody design, there's actually less dust getting stuck in different places, especially around the camera and if you're using a case. And I feel like that is the difference between aluminum and glass, and just like having that static, just a small observation from using it for about a month. The phone has stayed very clean. You have the glass patch on the back here, which is the ceramic shield. And on the front, you have ceramic shield 2, which is 4 times stronger in terms of crack resistance and 3 times stronger in terms of scratch resistance. It also has a better anti-reflective coating, and that is something that I noticed through use. The phone is able to keep smudge-free relatively nicely, and on top of that, you have a peak brightness now of 3000 nits. I think for like creatives out there, if you're recording video or photos all the time outside, and you want to be able to see your screen, or you're just using your phone, or live in a sunny place, that is something that you do notice, and it's great. From the front though, the iPhone 17 Pro Max pretty much looks exactly the same. And when I'm just using it from a day-to-day basis, it doesn't feel like I'm using a completely new phone, aside from the balance of weight and size. But other than that, everything feels very familiar, but the display is definitely a welcome change. But now that we've talked about design and hardware, I feel like we should jump right into the camera. Beginning with the photos, this smartphone features 3 cameras, a 0.5x, a 1x, and a 4x, and they were all 48 megapixel sensors. Initially, we saw a 48 megapixel main camera, and then last year we saw 48 megapixels come to the ultra-wide camera, but now the telephoto camera is also 48 megapixels. Instead of being 5x and 12 megapixels, it is 4x and 48 megapixels. And even though I have seen some complaints online as the fact that you lose a bit of range based on its optical settings, I actually found that I was using the 4x camera quite often, and it's actually been more usable than the 5x camera. I've really enjoyed it, and I found that it is able to capture a nice cropped field of view without being too zoomed in or feel like you're like fully telephotoed. But at the same time, you can also take images at 8x, which essentially gives this camera 8 focal lengths on the back-facing camera. The optimization in the images that you actually get are better than if you just went ahead and cropped the image. And that is thanks to both the processing as well as the high resolution. And it's presented like having the entire suite of focal lengths under one camera. From a hardware standpoint, the 0.5x and the 1x camera is pretty much unchanged. It is the same sensor, same resolution, and the biggest change comes in the telephoto abilities of having the 4x and the 8x. But I have noticed from the images, and I'm not sure if it's just through the chip or the software, the processing has improved, especially noticeable in low light situations. These are optimizations that often don't make you question the hardware as much, because hardware at the end of the day is one thing, but it isn't exactly the full picture of what a camera is able to deliver. We've seen it time and time again with smartphones that had incredible cameras on paper, but in some ways they deliver and in some ways they lack. And Apple is always proven to be a optimization and processing first company, as opposed to going with the craziest, largest censored in a whole contraption of cameras in the back. Not necessarily saying that is a bad thing, but their approach has definitely worked and the photos have looked great so far. If you're coming from like an iPhone 15 Pro or 16 Pro though, and primarily use the main camera, I just wouldn't expect a drastic night and day difference. For any iPhone videographers and content creators out there, I feel like the video aspect is where we saw the most significant changes, but at the same time, these are functions that you either really care about or you're never going to use. You now have Apple Log 2 and the ability to record Apple ProRes RAW, and that is great. If you're someone who captures a lot of content on your smartphone, wants to film a movie, wants to just like record everything on the device, not only do you have the ability to do that and take advantage of all of the focal lengths, but you also have the storage options if you go with a 2 terabyte iPhone. The file sizes are massive, but at the end of the day, it is able to show what this smartphone is really capable of when it comes to its camera technology, paired with a great codec to be able to edit and work with and stretch in ways where smartphone video hasn't really been able to do before at a practical level. So if you're looking for some great accessories for your iPhone 17, we previously checked out some of the new cases from Taurus that feature the O-stand technology in both the silicone and the Air. But Taurus has some amazing charging accessories as well that you can pair with your new smartphone, or any smartphone in fact. First off is the Taurus FlexLine 67-watt retractable charger. It's great to have a plug that folds in, a nice charger that you're able to bring on the go and charge your devices, whether it is your iPhone, Android phone, or your laptop. And it's also nice to have fast speeds as well, thanks to the 67-watt maximum output. But it's also common to lose your cable, forget it. So this has a retractable charger that is built in that gives you a 1 meter cable that nobody can steal, but you still have an additional USB Type-C port if you have any type of devices that maybe don't use this, or you want to charge 2 devices at a time. On the other hand, I always like to have a little slim battery pack that is able to attach via my device through MagSafe. This is the Taurus Mini Mag Power Bank. The slim and portable design with the smooth, curved edges and aluminum alloy finish looks absolutely beautiful. The battery pack itself is 5,000 milliamp hours, and it's especially useful for someone like myself who can't get through an entire day on a single charge, so I tend to just need that little reinforcement without wanting to carry a bulky battery pack. So if you guys want to go ahead and check out these great charging accessories from Taurus, including the FlexLine 67-watt retractable charger or the Mini Mag, I'm going to drop a link down below, and a huge thanks to them for sponsoring this video. It is also an open gate sensor on the back, which allows you to record on the entire pane of the sensor. On top of that, Apple probably has the best stabilization on a smartphone. They like to go with sensor shift stabilization, which honestly the results speak for themselves. And whether you plan to have a big contraption like a gimbal or a runaround setup, or just stand and record, you're gonna get great results regardless. On the front, you also have an 18 megapixel sensor, and that is a square sensor that allows you to record both in horizontal, vertical, and center stage. People, for example, like my girlfriend and my dog, record everything on the front-facing camera simply because it is easier, so you can see what you're recording while having your phone propped up. And so having that option of different focal lengths, being able to crop, keep the dog or person in frame, is really handy. And with the f1.9 aperture, it lets in a bunch of light, has great image quality, and I would also say it is probably one of the better front-facing cameras out there in photo, but especially in video. So generally speaking, I would say that the whole camera setup on the iPhone 17 Pro Max has become more well-rounded than ever before, giving you versatility between focal lengths, codecs, different options of resolution, the great front-facing camera. It's one of those things where you kind of feel like it has been trickled into the lineup, maybe a little bit slower than I would have liked, but at the end of the day, the end result is great, and it is probably still one of the best, if not the best, video recording smartphones on the market. And from the photo front as well, all of the results were really good given practical usage from my testing when I brought it on a couple short trips. So when it comes to the performance and the chips and daily usability, this right here comes down to two different factors. You have the Apple A19 Pro chip, which is 6 cores of CPU, 6 cores of GPU, and an improved 18-core neural engine with 12 gigabytes of RAM. This really focuses on efficiency as well as sustained performance. And even though the GPU updates on some tests were 40% faster, and in other tests, when it comes to single and multi-core, came out to be about 20% faster, I've never really found the iPhone to lag in any sort of performance test in quite a few years now, and that is the same throughout the entire smartphone industry. But what has been really focused on is sustained performance, and because the phone is a little bit thicker, they've actually been able to integrate a vapor liquid chamber that is enclosed and has deionized water sealed inside to be able to take that heat away from that A19 Pro chip and not only allow it to run at higher powers, more sustained through longer periods of time, if you're talking like 40 minutes to an hour from testing, but the chipset also delivers more efficiency to be able to burn less power and ultimately give you a better battery life when paired with the actual battery as well. So when it comes to performance, this is Apple's fastest phone, but it pretty much is every single year. But I think where there was a noticeable difference is the battery life. This battery life has definitely seen a pretty significant jump, especially on the Pro Max model. And as someone who used to have to charge my device every 3/4 of a day, as someone who was on it for quite a while with heavy screen on time, I found that this device was able to get me through an entire day. On top of having a bigger battery, especially in this model right here, which is an eSIM model, which Canada is getting for the first time compared to still having a physical SIM last year, that I didn't know about until I unboxed it, the battery has been really, really good. And part of that also contributes back to the device being a little bit thicker, having just a bit more room, and for the vapor chamber and the new chip, new software, all coming together to deliver a battery life that is better than ever before. It also charges a bit faster, at 35 watts compared to 30 watts, and when it comes to real world, between a 15 and a 30-minute charge test, you're able to get 10 to 15% more charge in the same period of time. So when it all comes together, on an everyday basis, do I notice a difference between my iPhone 16 Pro Max and the iPhone 17 Pro Max? And honestly, for the most part, not really. The 16 Pro Max was already a great phone with a couple little quirks here and there. But what I love most about this newest generation is the design. It is beautiful. I love the way it looks. And I mean, I personally am a big fan of the minimalism, the glass on the back, the unibody design, and I've never really cared about having a daily phone that is extremely thin beyond being able to enjoy it from afar from an engineering standpoint. And from the first time I picked up the iPhone Air, I really felt like it was just so incredibly beautiful. It looks great, it feels great, but for a daily phone, this is exactly what I want. With a price jump of $100 but increased storage, I feel like this is a phone where if you've been waiting for a couple years and are finally making the update, you're going to be quite happy with it at the end of the day. I think there are meaningful changes, and when 2 out of the 3 cameras have been updated to higher resolutions and more versatility compared to a model 2 years ago, I think the average consumer who is looking for the best from Apple is able to notice and appreciate that, on top of the better battery life, brighter display, and all these little things that come together to make a full experience. As always, if you guys enjoy this video, make sure you go ahead and drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next one.